we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Michelle Browers, Professor and Chair of Politics and International Affairs. And I wanted to let you all know that we're recording this session for those who have class or are studying abroad at this time. But it's really good to see you. Thank you for coming out today and what is our third annual Politics Career Development Workshop. It's truly annual now. And I want to start by actually gratefully acknowledging Bettina Wilkinson, who's actually outside now, signing people in. She's the department's associate chair, and this is her brainchild, and she organizes it for us every year. Today you're going to hear from Dana Hutchins and Cheryl Hicks, who are over here on the right. They're from the Office of Personal and Career Development, OCPD. Did I do that? OPCD. There we go. They're going to talk to you about the job market, about networking, and a host of tools that can help you connect with potential employers. And then you'll hear from my political science colleague, Dr. Justin Essery, about how to prepare for graduate school. And I want to thank these three individuals for sharing their knowledge, their expertise with us today. Before I turn things over to them, though, I want to say a few things about what you've been doing here in the last 3 to 4 years, that your study of political science and what it provides you as you start to think about career opportunities and what's next for you after Wake Forest. Right, you all know the Department of Politics and International Affairs has a major that's structured on giving you breadth and depth, right? We have our 4 subfields. We ask you to take one in each of these subfields, and we don't have a lot of requirements. We ask you to take in some training in statistics and political science methods, and you undertake a major research project in our capstone course, our politics seminar. But after that, how you chart your course for your major, those total of 31 hours that you do, is up to you. And we make it flexible, not only to allow you that ability to chart your own particular course of study based on your interests and your future prospects and what you want to do, but also so you can do other things as well. Most of our majors study abroad or away. Many of them take on research. They do service, they do internships, and all these things I think are viewed by our department as extraordinarily important factors and facets for the major. So as a major, you're getting a lot of skills. You're honing writing, communication, analytical, research, problem-solving skills, right? All these things that are critical to a liberal arts education. And our courses are trying to get you to cultivate skills like thinking critically, thinking independently, cultivating sort of a tolerance for different perspectives, and of course also inculcating a concern for current affairs and for policies that impact our shared world. So the education one gets from this major, I think, provides valuable preparation for participating in certainly community organizations, electoral politics, social movements, on behalf of specific policies, for seeking office or at positions in government. But I also think it prepares you well for the job market. I want to underscore above all, and this is one of the things that I hope you'll take into whatever it is you pursue as one of the things that you have. It's a very versatile major. It's a very versatile degree. It can springboard you to a lot of different things, to a career in policy and politics and nonprofit work and business and media and education and a whole host of other things, right? So the research, communication, writing, and analytical skills that you acquire in the study of political science has potentially wide application in a variety of occupations in both the private and public sector. And I think that versatility is really clear when you scan the landscape of what political science majors do. If you think of some of the famous, well-known figures who majored in political science, some of them won't be surprising to you. Our current president, Joseph Biden, was a political science major. A lot of former presidents were. Barack Obama, John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Woodrow Wilson. The current Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, was a political science major. The first 3 women to be Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, Condoleezza Rice, Hillary Clinton, all political science majors. A lot of journalists, Rachel Maddow, Anderson Cooper, Megyn Kelly, Fareed Zakaria, a long list of journalists, honestly. But of course, that's not the only thing that is available to political science majors. There's many political science majors in business. To mention just a couple, Richard Anderson, president and CEO of Amtrak, former director and CEO of Delta Airlines, the founder of AOL as well, Steve Case. So a lot of folks in business with political science majors. There's also, of course, folks in other facets, that are maybe less expected. Aisha Tyler was an actor you may know of, was a political science major. Pete Wentz, a musician, was. Anne Rice, if any of you have read Interview with the Vampire, political science major. Mia Hamm, superstar soccer player. Bill Simmons, the sports guy, all political science majors. And so as you're starting to think about what you might do with the major after graduation, one thing I might share with you is what a lot of our majors do, what recent students, recent graduates have done. I think it's actually very reassuring. The OPCD tracks our students, and they report that for the last 3 class years, politics majors had a 97% success rate 6 months after graduation and locating employment. So that's a really good sign. 73% of that 97% went straight to a job. 24% went on to continue their education in some sort of thing. And while it is true that for the employed students, for example, Deloitte was the #1 employer, and among the students who continued their education, law school was the most common choice, right? Neither of those are surprising. I'm sure you know of folks who ended up at Deloitte, folks taking the LSATs, preparing for law school. But again, I want to underscore that our students go on to do a multiplicity of things. And OPCD identified many different tracks, right? Many go on to further education, not just in law, but in public policy, international studies, and a whole host of related fields, some in data sciences and applied statistics. Every couple of years, we have someone going to medical school from a political science major. And for those who go straight to employment after Wake Forest, some are in private sector, some are in public sector. We certainly see a lot of employment in consulting firms, but also private sector advocacy, finance, business. Some go on to do governmental service, some foreign service, but also NGOs, INGOs, nonprofits, journalism, and education. So I hope you will use this opportunity to not only sort of figure out ways in which you can put some value onto that political science degree that you're all pursuing, but also to take advantage of the tools that OPCD offers to connect you with those employers. And so I'm going to turn things over now to my colleagues from that office to talk about how to connect that versatile, multifaceted education to future opportunities. So thank you.
My name is Dana Hutchins. I'm on the employer relations team, and I am happy to celebrate my 30th year at Wake Forest. And I have worked with a number of political science students in the past, many of whom have now returned as employer representatives to do hiring. And I'm going to apologize. I'm a mover, and they're actually videoing, so we have to stand still. So this is going to be a little difficult for me because I really do move around a lot. But this is a privilege actually for us to actually be here and present to you all, because there is so much going on. The market is so good right now for jobs in graduate school, internships. This is a great thing, and it's kudos to you for being here. A lot of people don't know that there actually is an employer relations team that actually works on the behalf of all students at Wake Forest to get employers to look at the talent that's here. I was an economics major. And somebody would say, what are you doing that is economics? I deal with supply and demand every single day. The supply is you, the talent, and the demand is for that talent by the employers. So I'm still using a bit of my undergraduate knowledge with what I do with employer relations. And it is a great time to be a college student looking for an opportunity. So we do act as an advocate. We're out there trying to get employers to come to Wake Forest to look at the talent. We're connecting for the jobs and internships and graduate schools. We have a ton of graduate schools that will use Handshake to post their program information and try to connect with you. We're also the event planners. If you see an employer that's coming to campus to do an event, host coffee chats, come to a career fair, do a panel, we've had a hand in trying to get them here. And of course, most people associate Handshake with what we do, and it is a big part of what we do. There's a lot of things that happen throughout the year that's part of the employer relations piece. Most people just immediately go to the career fair. That is one of the big ones. And actually, we have a career fair next week. It was supposed to be on campus, but of course, with the change in the COVID situation, we had to immediately flip it to virtual about a week ago. And as of about 30 minutes ago, I think we had 70 some employers that had actually signed up to participate. They're there to host one-on-one chats, to do info sessions, to really sell you on who they are, tell you about what the opportunities they're recruiting for. But that's the big one. That's the hot one that's coming up next week. And you'll be able, I'll share a little bit more information on how you sign up for that. But you'll see all these other things that we do throughout the year to connect employers to you. I wish we could get back to the career tracks where we take students to the market and we would take a group to DC, to talk to a lot of the political groups up there and different agencies. But right now with the market and with the COVID situation, we're just, all of our career tracks are on hold. But that's just a few of the things that we do. If you don't hear nothing else, this is the career fair week preparation. Tomorrow at noon, student registration opens. So that means you will be able to log in to see what employers, what organizations have actually said they want to connect with Wake students, would be able to sign up for one-on-one chats, sign up for info sessions. Now, there's going to be some employers that have a lot of availability and some that have little availability, depending on how many reps they have available to participate in our fair. So I would strongly encourage you to log in as soon as possible and go ahead and get signed up for the sessions that interest you. It's going to be critical for you to keep coming back because we have had, today alone, I think I've approved 15 employers. They're getting approval to participate. They've just found out they've got hiring needs. So we will keep registering employers right up to the event date. So make sure that you get logged in. They've got jobs, they've got internships, and they've got fellowships. And I just pulled out a few that I thought might be of high interest to political science majors. These that have registered at the bottom: AEI, Impact America, the IRS. You've got the Budget and Management Office, Partnership of Public Service, General Services, State Department. These are just a few that have registered. And I put this slide together yesterday, and again, I haven't even updated it with other things that have come in today. So make sure you log in to get registered. We also want to make you aware of some funding if perchance you start the process with an employer and you need some help. If you need some help financially with wardrobe, if you get an interview and can't pay to get there to travel, if you happen to accept an unpaid internship, we've been very fortunate to get some grants that make some funding available. So do not think that you have to miss out because money might be tight. Please reach out to us, apply for these grants because they'll help you. Just if you need a Padfolio, if you need a flight, you need hotel, you can apply and you can see the maximum awards for the funding, but a little dollars help. So if you need it, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd rather you get it so you can financially take advantage of it. Handshake is the biggie. Most of you probably, I'm hoping, may have logged into Handshake at one time. You all have a Handshake account, whether you've ever logged in. So the thing is, you need to log in and you need to make the system work for you. It's got an algorithm that once you put in your career preferences will actually feed opportunities that match what you're looking for, whether it be a location, whether it be a certain job function. It's very critical that you actually log in and make some use of this. It's only as good as what you log in and take advantage of. When you do log in, and those of you who have logged in and may not have logged in lately should do, especially before you start registering for the career fair, is go up under the right corner. This is our fake student account. Go up into the right corner, and these that are highlighted are 3 areas you really should take a peek at. Your profile to make sure that everything is accurate, because we do some banner feeds from the registrar's office. Make sure things are showing up correctly. You'll need to add your GPA in there. Your GPA can be viewable to employers or hidden. It's your call. You have the responsibility of saying which one it is. But if you don't have a GPA in there and it shows up as 0.00, Some employers have actually set they want a minimum GPA of 2.5. If you don't have anything in there, it's going to keep you from being able to connect with them, to apply to them. So you've got to have a GPA in there, your choice whether you make it viewable or not. The career interest is the biggie. That's where we really need you to connect, click on the career interest and select the locations of interest, the industries of interest, and the job function. And you don't have to narrow it down. You can pick as many as you're interested in and actually go back and update this if you change your mind. What you put in career interest will actually affect the algorithm that Handshake uses to feed you opportunities. It'll change the algorithm. It'll actually change the messaging. If an opportunity comes in and I need to send it to students who said they're interested in something connected to politics and you're interested in North Carolina, I can actually use your career preferences to weed it down to only get the students who say they're interested in that, rather than spamming you with so many emails. So make sure you check those three, especially before you sign up for the career fair. The settings and privacy is one I definitely want to call your attention to. You have the selection of making how you want your Handshake account viewable. The system, which is used by a lot of students across the U.S., recommends community. They are democratization. They want people to be able to connect with each other. But I will tell you, if you make it a community choice, employers and students at other schools who are using Handshake can connect with you. Maybe you want that, maybe you don't. Your choice. If you do not feel your Handshake account is the best it could be, you're still working on it, you need to update it, you need to get your resume in there updated, I would make it private until you're ready for it to be presented. It's kind of like if you've got a LinkedIn or something else out there, make sure it looks the best. If you make it viewable by employers, there are thousands and thousands of employers using Handshake. They use the system to look for talent. And if they say they're looking for somebody who's got political research or analytics, they'll actually in there searching for you. And they will message you directly. Our fake student account. This is a fake student account. And it very bluntly says, employers, this is a fake student Wake Forest account used for training. She's got over 1,200 messages from employers reaching out to her. I mean, we set the best possible student account, made it look really nice, good GPA, all this stuff. But employers have seen her and think she's a viable Wake student, but she's not. But you actually need to keep watching in Handshake because employers will message you directly via your Handshake account. They found something on your account that they like you, think you're a good candidate for them, and want to connect with you. The first time you really start looking for opportunities, you may have this pop up. We need you to take a quick survey that actually covers quite a few of these things. The honor code. We hold fast to the honor code. Do not fudge a GPA. Do not fudge any things you experiences. We hold true to it, and that it actually has you acknowledging that you've read the Wake Forest honor code and will abide by it. It also points out that you need to do your due diligence on your employer research or your grad school research. Handshake does a very good job of trying to vet employers and grad schools because there's a lot of phishing things going on out there, but they will do the first sweep of trying to do research to check people out. But it's still your responsibility to do your research on employers, research on grad schools to make sure they're right for you. It also talks about avoiding scams. It also, when you fill this out, provides authorization for me and our team on employer relations to send your resume if you have submitted it to an employer on your behalf. Otherwise, it's kind of stuck. It's stuck in the system. If we're working with Deloitte, that was mentioned earlier, if we're working with the State Department, and we've collected resumes through Handshake for them, you have to give us permission basically to say, now send it for me. So that actually is covered there as well. The no-show policy really hits more whenever we're not in a COVID situation and we've got more employers coming to do on-campus interviews. We have a zero tolerance for no-shows. If you have signed up to meet with an employer who's come to campus to do an interview, you've signed up through Handshake, you've received numerous emails through Handshake reminding you of your interview, and you no-show, unless it's an excuse. We've had students sick, we've had family emergencies, but if you just no-show, zero tolerance. You've taken a slot that a student sitting right beside of you would have loved to have had. So let us know. If something comes up, please let us know. Again, I talked about the public account earlier, about your privacy, and then I told you about what we do and what your responsibility is. I'm the biggest cheerleader out there for Wake Forest and trying to get employers to come and recruit talent. But I'm not a teller machine either, where you're going to type in what you want and me spit out the perfect job. I'm going to do my best to get employers here, but your responsibility is to be in Handshake, to look at the opportunities, to submit your resumes by the deadlines, to come to info sessions. I can only do so much, but I'll meet you halfway or more than halfway if you'll meet me. I've heard that a lot of students don't know if their Handshake account is what it should be. Is it the best it can be? So I'm going to make myself available this Friday. I'm going to be in the study space in between Kirby and Manchester. And you can bring your laptop, pop it open. I'll look at your account real quick and say, I think it's perfect, or I think you need to do some tweaks here. If you've already logged in, done your preferences, kind of the tips I gave you earlier, you may not be there 5 minutes. But there are some students that need a little bit more help. So if you want to swing by, again, bring your laptop. We'll just sit down, let you pull it up, and I'll go through it and kind of help you try to make sure you're maximizing the system. As mentioned earlier, there are so many opportunities that political science students go into, and I do encourage you to think outside the box. Employers come to Wake because they know we've got the talent. More employers are getting major agnostic. They love Wake students. They don't care what major you are. They know you're smart, you're trainable, you'll be able to come in and do the work they need you to do. So think outside the box. Look at employers that you might not have considered, especially if they've got a function in them that you might be interested in. You've got to apply. There's a lot of job opportunities out there, but it's still a competitive market. So if you're interested in something, submit a resume. Submit early. Don't wait. A lot of the employers, too, are going to ask you to apply in Handshake and on their corporate website. The reason is they all have CRMs, or applicant tracking systems, where they need to know every applicant that comes in. They do all this analytics, male, female, ethnicity, if you've had military experience. They're tracking everything. So a lot of them are going to force you to not just apply in Handshake, but also do to the corporate site. And you can't miss the corporate site piece, because of that, a lot of times is the be-all, end-all. They'll say, Dana, I got a batch of Wake resumes, but half of them didn't do the corporate application. We've got to have it in our system. So make sure you apply to both places. We've also got what's called a Wake Forest sourced employer account within Handshake. There are a lot of companies that are very lean, a lot of companies, organizations, especially nonprofits, a lot of government, that don't have a robust human resources department. So they don't have somebody who can constantly be posting their opportunities to Handshake. They put listservs together and they'll blast out to hundreds of career centers, employer relations team. Can you please get this opportunity out to your students? We can't create an account for them in Handshake because it's an employer-owned account. But we can post their opportunities in one we've created, which is called WFU Sourced. And we're posting them there. They're just as valid as if they were on the employer account themselves, but they just don't have an account in Handshake or have not been able to get it posted. So make sure you check out the Wake Forest Sourced account. I did yesterday just a quick search because I wanted to point out some things that are in the system right now. There are tons of internships popping in the system. There are tons of full-time jobs popping in the system. And I just told it to do a search for an organization that was looking for political science students, and quite a few came up. The thing is, you've got to use Handshake because some of these may have deadlines coming up. You can actually search by application deadlines. You can search by internships. You can search by jobs. But these things will pop in fast and be pulled fast. If an organization gets ample enough resumes, they may say, done. I don't need to wait for any. I've got 250. I don't need any more. So if you see an opportunity, be sure you apply early. Don't wait to a deadline, because a lot of these postings are multi-school postings, meaning they're posting to Wake, but they're posting at 10 or 15 or 25 other schools. So do not wait. If you see something, apply early. I mean, these go on and on. There's all kinds of opportunities in the system right now. There's a few more. Again, if it's take away from my portion here, you've got to update your Handshake account. I can't help you if you don't have your Handshake account up to date. You've got to participate in events. Now we do, and I've had employers ask me, Dana, I'm flying into North Carolina and I'm flying into Raleigh, Durham. Why should I come an hour and a half at 40 to wait when I can see 3 other big schools down in the Raleigh, Durham area? And I'm like, I got the best of the talent here. I mean, I'm a sports fanatic. I use the best analogy of a basketball team. I got the best starting 5, but I don't have the bench. They could go to State or they could go to Chapel Hill and get lots more applicants than we've got in student numbers. But I got the best of the best. And it takes you all showing interest. It takes you all showing up for events and participating to make them realize that they've got a good applicant pool here and need to continue recruiting. So make sure you take advantage of it. Cheryl's going to cover her part on the career coaching side, but you've got to take advantage of the career resources right here in front of you. You've paid for it with your tuition dollars. And I will tell you, we've got I've been around a long time in this industry, you might say, and we've got some of the best career coaches around. I'd put them up against anybody. They are very dedicated to you. They want to talk to you whether you know what you want to do or don't know what you want to do. They want to start with you wherever you are. And it may take the first connection being a resume review. Come in, get it done. Make an appointment to see Cheryl and the other staff. Let them help you because it's right here at your fingertips. You've just got to make the appointment to do that. Those of you that are thinking about grad schools, I definitely say go ahead and start looking. We did hold a graduate and professional school day in the fall. We do have a health fair coming up that'll be virtual in the spring. So anybody who wants to do any sort of health professions graduate program, that will be in the spring. But we do have a lot of graduate programs posting information sessions in Handshake. So if you've got an interest, you should be sure checking those as well. And then again, apply and don't miss those deadlines. I'm going to pass it over to Cheryl. I know I talked fast. I'm a country person too with a good old country accent, so I hope you all were able to understand all that. Come see me Friday. I'll be over there. I'll be glad to help anybody. And I'm going to beg your apologies because I've got to run out and pick up a little one. So pass it off to Cheryl.
Thank you, Dana. 30 years. That's a feat.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. Those of you who just came in, if you have not signed, you taking a sign-in sheet? If you came in and you didn't sign up, please do so before Ms. Hutchins leaves. She needs to get your name so we can have evidence that you were here. All right. Now, Dr. Browers has taken probably about half my slides of what I was going to talk about, which is wonderful. You probably would rather hear her than me. So if I go through a slide a little bit, it's because you've already heard it. Dana has talked a little bit about mine as well. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, oh, by the way, I'm Cheryl Hicks. How many of you been to the OPCD? Yay. Y'all know who I am. Good. All right. We're buddies, so to speak. Okay. That's good. Definitely come on back. Politics and National Affairs. Most of the jobs in Politics and National Affairs majors that apply for don't have the word politics and international affairs in the name, right? As you are searching and going through postings, and they don't have it in the job title. So what kind of jobs are PIA majors willing to get? So you won't see that in the name in most titles that you're looking for. So let's play a little bit of, it's not necessarily a game, but I want to show you some alumni in past Politics and National Affairs and where they are really, really quick. All right? Because your degree is fabulous. And it, as Dr. Browers mentioned, it will take you in so many different places. Let me just show you a little evidence. So Christina Moss-Liebner is a lead associate at Booz Allen Hamilton Consulting. So she is in consulting and doing a fantastic job there, still there. Mark Titus Hoover graduated in 2010 as a foreign affairs officer at the U.S. Department of State. Some of these people you might recognize. Dr. Browers definitely does. Christy Reese graduated in 2016. She's digital director for the U.S. Senate, doing very well there herself. Elizabeth Busby, she was Deputy National Press Secretary at the United States Senate. She is now the Policy Communications Manager for Twitter. She started there in September 20 and is still there now. Tiffany Virgin, my heart, she was a frequent flyer in the Office of Personal and Career Development. Tiffany Virgin is an officer of strategic planning and implementation for the United Nations Foundation. I know that she got her master's, I forget where, but I think it was in DC, but I can't remember the institution. Anyhow, she's doing very well as well. Rose O'Brien was a rock star. I can't begin to tell you. If you look at her resume, it was probably about 4 pages while she was here. She was also a frequent flyer in the OPCD. Rose O'Brien, she was a president's aide while she was here at Wake Forest. She then became a Fulbright scholar in foreign policy and social impact. And now she's working on her master's in public policy and graduating in 23 at Harvard University. Austin Cook, I've known Austin since high school. Wonderful, wonderful individual. He was a communications director for the North Carolina Democratic Party. He's now the communications director for Congresswoman Elissa Slotkin at the U.S. House of Representatives. Jasmine Little was defense counsel at the U.S. Army. She is now business litigation associate at Parker, Poe, Adams, and Bernstein. And Mike Green graduated in 2015. He is a senior strategist at Google. So politics and national affairs, so many places that where you go. Dr. Browers has mentioned already. You can use this degree. Politics and national affairs is a degree for that uses both humanistic perspectives and scientific skills to examine the United States and all countries and regions around the world. It prepares you to think critically, to have tolerance of others, and concern for current affairs. It also improves decision making. And I don't know what industry doesn't need a degree like that, whatever you decide to go into. So these are the industries where Wake Forest alumni have landed since they graduated in 2004. And so when you're majoring in politics and national affairs, you can qualify for so many different careers. And Dr. Brower has mentioned in both the private for-profit, the nonprofit sector, and the public sector. Political science training also provides valuable preparation in participating in community organizations, electoral politics, movements on behalf of sub-policies. It goes on and on and on. Now, when you are applying for jobs or when you go into an interview, you're going to need to talk about what skills you have as a politics and national affairs major. So the skills that you develop in this major include speaking and reading and writing, the ability to effectively communicate ideas, to associate people with differing beliefs, developing personal thoughts, theories, the ability to assess crisis and problem solve. Problem solve. Number one attribute that employers look for. Awareness of community needs, quantitative literacy, a propensity to be a leader. You all are leaders, and politics and national affairs dictates that. So up until this point, you haven't had to communicate these skills. You decided you want to be a politics major. You didn't have to tell anybody why. This is what I want to do. That's what I feel like doing. I like the classes. It's fun. I'm in the society. That's what I want to do. But as you search for internships and full-time positions, you will now have to communicate these skills that you are learning. You will now have to put that on an application and tell people why you decided to major in politics and international affairs. So as you search for internships and full-time positions and communicating what you have learned in class as members of organizations and from past work experiences, this is why the OPCD can help you leverage that, the things that you have learned. If you go to the OPCD website, you'll see at the bottom corner, I know it's small, but I just wanted to circle, developing skills. If you didn't catch the skills that I just put up on the screen, you can go to the website. And when you're filling out those applications and it says, what are some of the skills that you have learned? When you're writing that cover letter, when you're talking about, when you are reciting your elevator pitch, when you're in that interview, here are just a few things that you can talk about. And certainly you can add to that as well. Now, to be Ready 7 means that you are prepared and focused for whatever life may throw your way. In the OPCD, how many have heard of the Ready 7 already? Okay. The Ready 7 is the model that we live by in helping students prepare from going from college to career. It gives you direction and purpose for the often unclear and daunting task of your journey from college to career. The two I want to focus on is personal branding. What is it? It's it's you having a strong, updated personal branding materials, such as your resume, your LinkedIn, your handshake profiles that Ms. Hutchins has gone over extensively, and a professional introduction. That's what it is. Your personal brand. When you walk into a room, how do people see you? When you're having conversations, what impression are you leaving with them? And that makes and having that positive impression will make a difference in getting hired and building your professional network, which in politics and national affairs, I can't express enough. Building that network. Especially if you're looking to go to DC, that is a networking town. Even when you have a job, you still have to continue to network, and that's really in any position. So why it matters is because you need to make that first impression. Your brand. So the first thing that you need to do, if you haven't already, update your resume, your LinkedIn, handshake profile, and that is something that we can help you with in the Office of Personal and Career Development. If you've already done those things, the next step for you to do is make sure that you are refining your LinkedIn profile and your resume, that you have an elevator pitch and that you're able to communicate who you are in 30 seconds or less, and be able to read the audience and be able to communicate those things. Now, 60% of you, going with Dr. Brower said earlier from the research that we have done in our offices, 60% of you are engaged of politics, and when I say you, I mean politics and international affairs students, are engaged in career services and handshake activities. 60%. Only 83 of you, 60% that are engaged, only 83 of you have completed a handshake profile. Okay? 83% of the 60, right? And only 44% of the 60 have a resume on handshake. So I don't know what the rest of you 40% are doing, but there are some of you who are getting it, right? And based on what Ms. Hutchins showed you, you've got to get your handshake profile done, and you need to get your resume on handshake. And that is something that we could definitely help you with. There are over 60,000 postings on handshake alone. That's an increase of 101% since last year. We don't want to hear that you can't find an opportunity, because they're out there and they're searching for you. So on the OPCD website, your resume and cover letter, just wanted to show you, if you haven't seen it already, your resume, there's a page that talks to you and walks you through the resume. So if it's 2:00 in the morning and you're like, I want to work on my resume, don't call us because we won't be up, but you can go and look at the website and kind of get yourself started. Same with cover letters as well. Opening page, one of the opening pages for handshake. Ms. Hutchins has already kind of been through that already. Getting virtual FaceTime with employers, getting your questions answered. When you complete your handshake profile and indicate politics, national affairs as your major, you'll be able to see things that are specific to your major. Postings that pop up that will be on your feed. Jobs expiring soon. Those who are looking for NGOs. Those who are looking for government, state and local and foreign, nonprofits, politics. It doesn't get any easier for you as far as having postings and things that you are interested in, qualified for, that are coming to you. The other one I want you to mention out of the Ready 7 is networking and relationship building. I already mentioned it once. I know networking is a negative word to some people. They don't want to do it. They don't have the energy, or it just seems slimy in a sense. Networking in its purest form is establishing a connection. I've got information to share. You've got information to share. Let's talk. You've got to do it. You've got to have those conversations. 80% of jobs are not posted. You'll never see them. If you don't have a conversation with alums, people at career fair, your peers, the people you're sitting next to also know things. Faculty know things as well. But if you don't tell people your story, if you don't talk to them about what you're interested in, what your goals are, they can't plug you into places that you haven't thought of, don't know about. So networking is extremely key. And it doesn't have to look the same for everybody. I know I've done a workshop on networking for introverts. They network a little bit different than those who are a bit more outgoing. And that's fine, but just do it. So what is it? It's building and sustaining relationships, why it matters. You need to learn to connect and have conversations with adult professionals and employers who can offer information, perspective, advice about careers. Be resourceful, give you resources, experiences, internships, and jobs. We in the OPCD can help you navigate what your networking looks like and those connections. Working on your elevator pitch or your professional introduction. Who should I contact? What does that look like? And how am I following up and the like? So the first thing you need to do, build 5 to 10 connections on LinkedIn with alumni and professionals by sending personal messages and connection requests. I should have brought it up, but on LinkedIn, how many have a LinkedIn profile? Great. You know, on LinkedIn, on the Wake Forest page under alumni, you can put in politics and national affairs and see how many alumni are listed there. Parents, family, and friends who are part of the Wake Forest family who can connect you. And if you've already done that, most of those connections, be prepared to know what you want to do or answer the question, what do you want to do after Wake Forest? Share your career interests with adult fans. And again, using LinkedIn. We tout LinkedIn. We know that you look at it for internships and jobs. We tout it as a professional networking tool and for you to connect with other. I don't know any better way for you to find those faces that I had in my second slide. I got all from LinkedIn. I know a few of them, of course, but being able to keep up with what they're doing, and they are eager to talk to you. Trust me, you're not a burden. You're not somebody who's bothering them. They want to give back. Take advantage of that. I can't express that enough. Take advantage. Shame on you if you haven't talked to an alum or if you're too apprehensive to do so. They want to talk to you. There's affinity groups that you can join. DC has a huge affinity group. And so Global Deeks has a great affinity group that is very active, panel discussions. Those who are looking to work abroad or going to international affairs, that is a fantastic affinity group that you can find on LinkedIn. Wake Forest Global Deeks. 66% of students attended the Fall 21 Virtual Career Fair. So again, this is a fantastic opportunity. Next week, Ms. Hutchins mentioned, for you to use your networking skills. Don't just sign up for one particular employer, sign up for several. The downside, I think, of not doing this in person is that you can't just walk around and find employers who you hadn't thought about. You tend to go to certain designated ones that you read. But as you see that list, she said there's 70 of them. Choose 5 to 7 of them and at least go visit and talk to them in the breakout rooms. So building, again, your network is key, especially in politics and national affairs. Your presence matters, and the ability to communicate your strengths is just that. So show up at events. If you're looking at LinkedIn, oh, I did put it up there. Fantastic. Politics, National Affairs, over 3,400. Over 3,400 alumni, parents, and friends on LinkedIn who want to connect with you. And it tells you where they live, where they work, and it breaks it down that way as well. Some resources. There are plenty of resources that are available to you. Aside from LinkedIn, the American Association of Political Consultants, Handshake, the OPCD website. We usually have workshops on winter consulting. What is the interview? I'm drawing a blank. Okay, I'll go back to that in a second. Internships, alumni panels, college to career courses, and the like. So use these resources. This association sites, trade sites also list internships and internships and jobs as well. So don't negate these as well. It's not just about the Indeeds and the LinkedIns. Some of the trade and association sites also list them. Of course, you all probably know about USA Jobs and looking for federal work, and the like. It is no stranger that we're now going towards virtual interviewing. Heck, the career fair itself is virtual. So there are things that we can help you with in the OPCD to help prepare you for these Zoom interviews and interviews that I think it's HireLink. that where you have to answer questions first in a camera. It's sent off and then it comes back. Spark Item, that's what it is. So there are things that we can help you with in looking at what your technology is like, your background and your setting, your nonverbals, your voice. All of this makes a difference in how you present yourself on Zoom or WebEx or whatever platform that a lot of interviews are going to. Most of them will want to virtually interview you first. That will be the first time. So be prepared and we can help you with that. Goals, have them. I don't know what else to say. Have some goals in order to create yourself a roadmap. You don't have to have it all figured out to go into the OPCD. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do. We can help you with that as well. But in working on your presence, and as I mentioned earlier, your branding, your personal branding, and have a goal of building on your network and working on an action plan. Those are just 3 basic goals that you can start with yourself in order to guide you on when I go to the OPCD, what is it that I want to talk about? It could be all 3 or it could be 1. It's fine, but just come and see us. Utilize what your tuition dollars, as Dr. Ms. Hutchins mentioned, is already paying for. Okay? Because when you leave Wake Forest, you're on your own, unless you want to pay $300 an hour for somebody to look at your resume. We're here to teach you how to create and how to revise your own resume, because it's something that you're going to need to do for the rest of your career, right? And so having conversations, introducing yourself to people. So definitely use this office for that as well. To schedule an appointment, going on Handshake, fairly easy. I am the career coach for the Politics and National Affairs, but there's 5 other career coaches in our office. So you are welcome to see any of us at any time. But I would love to see your lovely faces and work together on how we can do that. I think Dr. Wilkinson, we're looking at having office hours, possibly in Politics and National Affairs, and being able to sit in your space and come to you. But definitely, our doors are open at Renolda 230. That said, we have weekly workshops. Resume workshops happen on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I think the Wednesdays ones are virtual and the Tuesdays are in person. We have an intern search workshop on Thursdays and then getting started on Wednesdays. I don't have times up there because they can vary. If you go to Handshake and register, it'll tell you what the times are each week. But they're mostly around 3:30 or 4 o'clock. Try to put it at the end of the day for you all. And then, of course, coaching appointments has never stopped. We are there Monday through Fridays, 9 to 5. Drop-in hours, Monday through Thursday. And then resume review hours. Adriana is there Monday through Thursday, noon to 3. That's all she does is review resumes. But they're drop-in appointments. So she'll give you 15 minutes, look over your resume, make any changes. You can come back and see her as often as you need to without scheduling an appointment. So 3 ways to get your resume done. Okay? No excuses, right? Well, I don't know what it looks like or what I should be doing or how strong it is. There are people here to help you. And there's so many different ways to do it, virtually and in person. That is my spiel on the OPCD. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious on how to frame my knowledge of politics in the media world instead. I don't necessarily want to do social media, just anything media, which is kind of a stretch. So I'm curious what your advice would be for framing it.
So taking your politics degree and then taking it into media?
Yeah.
Okay. So in researching the media industry or what aspect of media you'd like to go into, what are they looking for, right? If you're researching the skills, what are some of the things that those who are in media, what they're doing? There are skills that you're honing, like I mentioned earlier, as a politics major that would make you a great media analyst or media journalist or media person, communications director, whatever that looks like. So in researching the skills in both and then crossing that, that's what you communicate. This is what I'm strong in. This is why you should hire me, because as someone who can help you with your media, these are the things that I've learned while I've been at Wake Forest, while I've been part of these organizations as well. If you go on LinkedIn, look up those politics, national affairs majors, because you can sort them out by majors. And then you can also do another filter of media and see where they cross. Connect with them, have a conversation, say, this is what I'm thinking of doing. I see that this has been your path. How did that work, and what are some of the things you had to navigate? No problem. You all good? Okay. Well, if you think I know I just threw a lot at you. Ms. Hutchins threw a lot at you. You can definitely contact me. Mr. Justin over here is going to talk to you about graduate school. But definitely contact me in the Office of Personal Career Development, and I'll be happy to speak with you and set up an appointment. All right? No problem. Wait a second. We still have one more on graduate school.
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking backward. Who was the person who asked about the media jobs? So it may interest you to know we have a professor in our department who has a very prominent media job. She's the host of The Takeaway for NPR. Well, there you go. So I think my general advice, and this goes for grad school as well, but is to talk to people who are involved in the industry, particularly if they share your background. Now, Professor S. Perry is a professor, so, I don't know if getting a PhD is the right pathway into journalism, but certainly she knows something about being a political scientist who works in journalism. And actually, we just taught a senior seminar where our students were sort of working toward publishing articles using their political science training in media outlets. So sometimes classes like that might come up as well, where you can take advantage of that. And then I said something that was a good segue. So we're going to talk about graduate school just a little bit. And graduate school is so amorphous that I'm not going to try to give everybody, advice that works, because it's probably not the same advice for people, for example, who are entering a PhD program versus those who are entering a master's in international affairs or international relations versus somebody going to a master's in public policy. Those are all different, very different things with different preparations. So I'm just going to start off by saying that if you want a PhD in anything, see me after class, because there's a long conversation we have to have about how to prepare and what the job market looks like and whether it's a good idea and what field you should go into and where you should go and all that stuff. And there's no way to cover that in a few minutes. But for master's programs, I think there is at least some generic advice that you can give. The first is to remember that graduate school, including PhD actually, is vocational training. It is not the snooze button on the alarm clock of life. It's just too expensive and too hard to be that. It's not a great place to find out what you're interested in. Of course, that can happen, but master's education, and this is sort of the second part of it, is very specific. It's usually skill driven, meaning it's about giving you certain skills that you need to be able to do a particular job. It's not about sort of finding yourself or finding your place in a particular world. It's about getting the skills you need to market yourself to an employer or to get the skills you need to do some job. And actually, the PhD is similar, which is not to say that all these things don't involve creative work. They do. But what they're trying to teach you to do is to do a thing and to do it at the highest level. Which means that when you're looking for a graduate program, you should also be very focused on where their students get placed, how often they get placed, and if those placements look like something you want to do. Which is not necessarily the same way you think about shopping for an undergraduate education, right? Where there's more involved with there. I mean, first of all, it is a place to find out what you're interested in, to find out what you want to do, to find out about the sort of broad array of knowledge that is out there. We have resources on our website that can point you, for example, toward which programs are highly ranked. That, by the way, varies a lot across fields. So just because Harvard is Harvard doesn't always mean Harvard's the best, no matter what they tell you. Some places are actually quite good, even though you wouldn't necessarily think of their name brand as being super great. Some places are not so great, even though their name brand is good. But in general, you want to start thinking about that. If you were going to think about going to graduate school, I guess in the coming year, it's almost actually too late. At least for the PhD programs and most master's programs, the cycle is sort of in the middle right now. You really want to start thinking about applying in the fall. That goes for most fellowships too. Like if you want to apply for a Fulbright or various sort of fellowships to study abroad for your master's program, that mostly happens in the fall. Some of it, at least it starts in the fall, I guess is what I would say. It goes through to the spring. I recommend you take a look at our website, the department's website under graduate school or graduate education to get some information about that. And if you are interested in either a master's program or a PhD program, you can set up an appointment with me during my office hours. I have a link on my website. Just click on it. We can either do Zoom or in person. I'd be happy to talk to you about going to graduate school, how to make the right choice, how to format a curriculum vitae that's different than the resume, and all the sort of fun procedural stuff. Does anyone have any specific questions about master's programs or PhD programs that I can answer that are of general interest to everyone? Okay, well, am I the last? I think I'm the last speaker. Thank you for coming. I hope that you will get in, well, I guess sign up for Handshake. We're all legally obligated to say that, right? But if you want to go to grad school, I would say Handshake's actually not that important, but whatever. Thanks for coming, and good luck. Well, we're all wearing masks, so the name is Nicole. That's tough. Yeah. I'm not so clueless, but
That's fine. I'm not expecting it. But should I just use like that office hours if I want to talk about grad school?
yeah, of course.
Okay.
And it would be helpful if maybe to sort of know broadly what you want to do, because like I said, job
There's